So on the last video with the battle hatch, I went ahead and I made those little panel inserts for the back area. I think they came out really nice, but I'm not completely satisfied with how they look, but we are not done yet. So in this video, we're gonna go ahead and make some improvements on them, some improvements on them. I'm gonna go ahead, get out the bead roller, mess around with that a little bit, and then possibly throw in some dimple dyes. We'll see.
And now, you're watching the plan of execution style that can only be described as a watermelon eating contest channel of YouTube. Welcome to BodeVision.
Hey, so what is up and welcome. Thank you so much for joining me on yet another video. So here we are. This is kind of how we left off over there. I don't have the panel in there, but I got this one, that one over there, and this big one. Now the ones that I'm gonna be putting in the bead roller are probably just the big ones, and that's what I want to focus on now. So the first thing that I gotta do, you see this over there, I want to draw some kind of line. And what I want to do is I want those lines to replicate what you would naturally see inside the car. So over here, this is kind of what I want to replicate. So I want to have a line coming down right in that area, and then dive across, come up and around, and then also another triangle down here following that line, and then some kind of triangle right in that area. So I want it to look like how the car looked originally, but I want it to be plugged in, and also I want that area to be recessed into the metal because that is recessed into the metal and that one over there, and that's just kind of how it goes. So the first thing that I want to do, draw something out on that panel, and then we'll go ahead and get it in the bead roller and just go for it. So with the bead rolls in here, well, these lines look a little bit sloppy. Just in there, it's a little bit crazy. That's because I used the body of the car as a reference, and then as I was using that, there's little bumps. But the bead roller is actually going to be a little bit smoother than what I drew. And then also around the corners, what I did right there is I just used this water bottle cap to kind of make that. And again, I might go off a little bit, but the bead roller is going to make it look real nice, and then it'll look good. And also another thing, usually when people do this, the reason why they do that is to strengthen up whatever they're putting it on. And the reason why, or how it strengthens up the metal, is if you think about your muscle, when you flex it and you pull it really tight, that's what the bead roller actually does to the metal. It pulls it real tight in that area that it gets rolled, and that's what makes it stronger. And also a little later on in this video, I'll go into more detail about why people are doing dimple dyes or putting the little holes in the dimple dye, whatever you call them. I'll get into that a little bit later. So what I want to do right now, just get it put up in the bead roller, take my time, and hopefully it's going to turn out. So it is actually the following day now, and man, dude, these bead rolls, well, when it comes to the bead roller, I got a couple different options or a couple different wheels that I could put in there. One of them is just a step, and then there's big, medium, and small, and then there's also like the little channel, big, medium, and small. So what I did was the step, because I want this section to actually be lower in the car, and this is how it looks. And as you can see, I really wanted that line to contour and match the wheel arch. So I have this one right here, and then it stops, but then it continues on right here, and it comes around, and then this kind of represents or replicates what's underneath it. So that is looking really good. Also have the back ones, this one right there, and then those over there, and then this one as well Now you got to be careful when you're working with metal like this, because all it takes is overnight for you to get some surface rust on it, especially if you're working in a really humid area. It could rust up relatively quickly. So if you want to just keep some oil on it to prevent it from rusting, or if it rusts a little bit, it's not going to take much to clean it up. I'll just do that before I actually prime it. So the next thing I want to do, this is the fun part. This is something that I've never actually done before, but I'm a huge fan of it. I got these dimple dies right here. This is a 1-inch dimple die, and the way that it works, it leaves this impression in here. You got to drill a hole or cut a hole that's this size, and then this goes like that. And then, you know what, let me just set it up and I'll show you one for a little example. So now the way that this works is there's these two pieces. This one has this little kind of taper right there, and that one also has it right there, and then they fit perfectly together. So when you put this on like that, and then you can see the little gap in there, and then you put this one on, and then you can see right there where my thumb is, the metal's gonna actually be pushed down and then flattened out again once I put it on the press. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna put this up here, put that like that, and then I'm just gonna use this in between it. And then you push on it until it flattens out completely, because at first you're going to see the metal come down and then you want it to come back. And then take this up, pull this out, take this off, and then that's what you're left with. Really nice, really simple, kind of cool dimple die effect. And also this loses weight by cutting out the center, and also stiffens it up by putting all that strain on that metal. So the idea is I'm gonna kind of figure out some kind of pattern to do something kind of staggered, and we'll see what happens. But this is what it looks like, and that's what I'm going for. Dimple die, these things are expensive, but they for sure look cool. So let's go ahead and get it figured out and just go for it. So what I ended up doing is I went ahead and I marked them out. I just used this as a little spacer, so every line here, here, and here is all spaced equally there, there, and then these ones go like this, from this tick to that tick, so on and so forth. And then I did the middle line, or the intersection, from corner to corner, there and there. So every one of these B's is going to be a bigger hole and ultimately a bigger dimple die, and then every one without a B is going to be a smaller one. So it's going to alternate, you know, big, small, big, small, big, small, and then it's going to be staggered, and I think that's going to look really good. So the next thing that I want to do is go ahead and drill out all these holes for each and every one of them. In this video, seeing how long it is already and how long it will probably be, I want to kind of keep it down, keep it moving, keep it kind of quick. I'm just going to go ahead and do this with like one of those little drill presses. You've seen that a million times. So I'll check back in right after all these holes are done, and that's actually right now. So this is looking pretty good. I mean, this was a lot of holes for me to do. How I actually did it, like I just said, I did it on a little drill press, and then I used a step bit. I had to actually buy a fatter step bit to do the 1-inch holes, and the 2 holes or 2 dimple dies that I'm going to be making, I'm alternating between a 1-inch and a 3/4 inch or a 0.75. So this is what it looks like, all holed out. But again, that's just the holes, those aren't pressed yet. And then here we can see how they kind of look in the car. Now that's just sitting there. But that's looking pretty cool, looking pretty good. And then I also got all these panels back here. This one. So now I need to go ahead and take my little dies. This is the 1-inch one. That's the 0.75 or 3/4 of an inch. And I got a lot of holes to press out. Oh man, dude, I am by no means a professional when it comes to this stuff. Fabricating metalwork, I have a little experience, but I don't have any professional experience whatsoever. But man, I think it came out really cool. They look really good in my opinion. As you can see, they're kind of going every other one. Big one, small one, big one, small one, and then also big one, small one. So that way they kind of have rows. That's a big row, and then that's a small row, big row, small row, and so on and so forth. So I think it looks really good. And also 84. That's the number of holes that I had to actually drill out and then put the dimple dies into, press them out. And at first, as I was doing it, I was thinking, man, this is kind of tedious, but now that I'm done with them, I think they look phenomenal. I am definitely happy with them. We're gonna have to do the door panels. We're gonna have to keep doing stuff. I think I'm just gonna go crazy with the dimple die cast, is that what they're called? With the little dimple die jigs in the press. Also, that press, I actually made that press as well. A whole bunch of videos back earlier this year I made the press. So the only thing left to do for this video is I just want to throw them in there. I want to show you how they look, and I want you to let me know what you think about it. So for my first time messing with and using dimple dies, I think they look really good. I am definitely extremely pleased with how they came out. Also with the little bead roller, I've used that plenty of times before, but it looks really good. I am definitely happy with this, and I don't know what else to say. One thing is, I'm gonna have to get these primed pretty soon because they will rust if I don't do that, so I will probably do that tomorrow, and then I'll just leave them primed until I figure out exactly what the next move is on this car. In the meantime, I want to preserve them so that way nothing happens to them. And also, I was just thinking, if you're interested, I mean, I think they look good. If you like them, if you're interested in purchasing something like this, or maybe even I was thinking just sending you out just some kind of, maybe like a long square piece of sheet metal with a bunch of dimple dies in it. I've seen people selling different stuff like that before, so that way you don't got to actually go out and buy all the equipment. If you just want something to get dimple dyed to weld into your car, let me know that. Just message me over on the gram. It's the same exact name as my YouTube channel, and for this project I think that is going to be it. So let me know what you think. I know on the last video some people didn't like it. I actually agreed with you where I felt like that panel, the big one, I felt like that one looked out of place, but now that all the dimple die holes are in there and the bead rollers worked it, I think that is definitely my favorite panel. So let me know what you think. And also, one more thing before we go, if you ordered stickers, all those are in the mail and they are on the way, and I still have some of the 3-packs available, so check the site for that. Like this video, comment, subscribe, do all the stuff. You know what it is, YouTube. I will see you on the next one. I'm out.